The founding mythos of America has been torn down and subverted. No longer are we a nation founded on rebelling in the face of tyranny in order to live more godly and prosperous lives. Now, we're a nation founded on riots in the name of lowbrow, self-serving crime. It's the ultimate conceit of liberalism, the freedom to do whatever you want, no matter the harm to others. That's why this month is not recognized in honor of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, to which it properly belongs. Instead, it is recognized in honor of one of the 7 deadly sins, pride. It has its roots in part with the Stonewall Inn riot of June 1969 in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan in New York. The way the historiography tells it, brave gay patrons finally stood strong in the face of police repression against their lifestyle. It was a Boston massacre, but for the new age and without all the deaths. The only similarities were that the Boston colonists of 1770 threw rocks and snowballs at the British, whereas the patrons of Stonewall threw bottles, bricks, and garbage at the cops. But there is nothing noble about their fight, because here's the truth about Stonewall. It was a bar owned and operated by the mafia, like most of the gay scene at the time was. It had a reputation for being both dirty and dangerous. There wasn't running water behind the bar. Glasses weren't cleaned between customers, just dunked into dirty water to be refilled. The toilets regularly overflowed, and it was a known hangout for sex workers, druggies, criminals, and runaway youths. That's why the cops showed up, though many were being paid to look the other way. It was this motley crew of degenerate LGBTQ+ criminals who fought the cops. And now this situation is a cornerstone, they tell us, of the new American founding, according to the left. That, along with all the race riots and sainted criminal murders who died fighting cops. No wonder we're quickly becoming a low-trust society. Stores can no longer freely leave out merchandise for you to peruse, or museums leave out pieces on display, without fear now of someone taking advantage of the situation to either steal or to destroy, to make a political point. Heck, street lights and now fire hydrants are now disappearing from some California towns because of thieves. But what else would you expect given our new national mythos? Where criminals and sex workers, there are new founding fathers and mothers, I guess. What we should be doing instead is looking to the example of St. Charles Lwanga, who was killed in 1886 along with 21 of his male companions by the king in Uganda, who kept trying to make gay sexual advances on these men despite their Catholic faith. The king had them brutally tortured and executed for refusing his sexual appetite. But who knows, in this upside-down world, the left would rewrite that story to say that the martyrs were the real villains who had it coming to them, and that the king was the oppressed one who bravely fought back, prefiguring the Stonewall uprising. It's definitely more than likely. Just look at what the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, is now up to after hosting a no whites allowed holiday party. She's back with a whole laundry list of crimes that she thinks should not be prosecuted. Joining us now to discuss what those are is author Lance LaRusso, the founder of the Blue Line Lawyer Institute. Lance, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So I know there's quite a few crimes, but which ones can you tell our audience are the ones that Michelle Wu does not want to have to be prosecuted?
You know, there are a whole class of crimes, and essentially several of them are troubling. They're property crimes and shoplifting and minor theft, which obviously impacts small business owners. But probably to me, the more important one that's really an issue is this notion that they're not going to prosecute assaults on law enforcement or interference with a law enforcement officer performing their duties unless it's accompanied by some other criminal offense. And we've seen this in California, we've seen this in New York, we've seen this now in Boston, where this notion that if you obstruct the government embodiment of enforcement of the law, a law enforcement officer, if you obstruct that person either physically or just by your inaction or your refusal to obey commands, that's just not really important. So we saw this in several other jurisdictions. I think actually in Texas, in San Antonio, and Austin, we saw issues about this. And it's really troubling because the officers are only enforcing the laws that were passed by the legislature. They're in a situation where even if they come to a shoplifting and they say, hey, put the stuff back on the shelves, and the person assaults the officer but puts the stuff back on the shelves, are we not going to prosecute them? And you basically are driving good people out of law enforcement with this.